Hello, my name is Melissa Melendez, and I will be debating prescription drug advertising. Now, to my understanding, there are two types of prescription drug advertising: that directed towards healthcare physicians and those directed towards consumers. I will be talking about direct to consumer advertising, also known as DTCA. DTCA is controversial because brand name prescription drugs are usually really expensive, and the way the revenue is used may leave most expecting more from pharmaceutical companies. I will now proceed to debate against myself. First of all, direct to consumer advertising is not unethical because it increases consumer awareness and increases the use of healthcare services. According to a research study conducted by Finionson and Molnar in 2005, direct to consumer advertising proved to be important to health education because it led to consumers seeing their physicians sooner rather than later to talk about their health concerns. Additionally, in the same study, it was found that the DTCA led to, quote, increased demands for information about their medical condition and a heightened need for physicians and other health professionals to disclose to and to educate their patients, end quote. So, DTCA is ethical because it educates consumers. Second of all, direct to consumer advertising is not unethical because it encourages patients to talk to their doctors and they may be more involved in their health care decisions. Research done by Cheney in 2011 shows that aware and knowledgeable people were more empowered to talk to their doctors, ask questions, and ultimately contribute to their personal health process. This influences patient autonomy, or the feeling that they can control their health outcome. Knowledge is power. Therefore, DTCA empowers consumers to make knowledgeable questions to their physicians. Third of all, direct to consumer advertising is not unethical because it reminds viewers to take their drugs responsibly. A study done by Pareke et al., done in 2012, showed that out of 2,500 patients, 81% said DTCA had a positive impact in directing them to take their medication responsibly. This is because the ad reminds viewers to adhere to their physician's recommendations and to take the drug as prescribed and in a timely manner. Thank you. Thank you, Pro. Now on to the con side. First of all, direct to consumer advertising is unethical because it clearly increases healthcare costs for patients. A study done by the Massachusetts General Hospital showed that out of 1,900 physicians, more than a third of them prescribed a brand prescription drug because a patient requested it when a cheaper generic drug was available. Eric G. Campbell, doctor and director of research at the Morgan Institute for Health Policy, had a said, quote, generic drugs are from 30 to 80% cheaper than the brand name versions, which represents a significant source of unnecessary health costs, end quote. It is unethical to advertise drugs that abuse airtime on TV and other mediums to gain a bigger profit. Second of all, direct to consumer advertising is unethical because it misleads consumers in thinking the drug will solve all their problems by overemphasizing its benefits, and as a result, damage patient-doctor relationships. A study by the Journal of Health Communication in 2007 showed that direct-to-consumer ads spend more time on the benefits of the drug rather than on the risks of taking the drug. Let's be real. People in these ads are always looking all happy like the drug is the answer to life. Then they go on to the doctor and ask for that specific drug. The doctor may recommend something cheaper, but the consumer is adamant. Then they tune out all the other recommendations from the doctor because they believe the drug is all they need based on the overemphasized claims that the drug works as advertised, which may or may not be the case. Direct-to-consumer advertising is unethical because it misleads consumers. Third of all, direct-to-consumer advertising is unethical because not only do ads mislead, but they also misinform consumers by way of omission of information. In the same study as my previous point made by C. Lee Ventola, only 26 of all direct-to-consumer advertising included the risk factors or causes to the condition, and only 25% included the information of prevalence of the disease or the problem. To top it all off, none of the direct-to-consumer ads reviewed in the study mention an alternative to drug treatment, meaning the ad's primary priority is to sell the drug, not to inform the consumers, as the pro side previously suggested. Thank you. In conclusion, it could be argued that the ads are ethical because they inform consumers, they incite conversations with consumers' doctors, and the ads serve as a reminder to take the drugs responsibly as directed by physicians. But it could also be argued that direct-to-consumer advertising misinforms consumers by omission of details, misleads consumers by overstating benefits over risks, and ultimately contributes to big pharmaceutical companies that are only concerned with increasing profits with overpriced drugs rather than the empowerment and education of the consumers. Personally, I think pharmaceutical companies have the right to advertise their product at whatever price they want, but it's up to the government to establish strict regulations and to do so ethically, meaning to include all the information required. Whether they will do that or not, that's another debate. But additionally, incentives to increase competition would drive prices down, and pharmaceutical companies could use the large amounts of revenue they gain from selling the drug to research ways to improve the drug. While I do not agree with the way money is currently being handled by some big pharmaceutical companies, I believe there is room for improvement in direct-to-consumer advertising, and we should not get rid of ethical DTCA just yet. Thank you.